Let me talk about the issues on the floor this week. The D.C. crime bills has been referenced, and because we understand that solving this nationwide violent crime problem is critically important. It's a priority for President Trump as it is for congressional Republicans. So crime is something that touches everybody, and we all know somebody who's been carjacked or had a wallet stolen at gunpoint or was mugged, and it's happened to members of Congress in our nation's capital, and we have to stop it. Stopping violent crime is something that virtually every American agrees on. It's an 80-20 or 90-10 issue in this country. So this week, House Republicans are going to build on President Trump's wildly successful crackdown on crime here in the Capitol with 4 D.C.-specific bills that we believe can serve as a model for other municipalities around the country. Here they are very quickly. First, the D.C. Crimes Act. That would prohibit the left-wing D.C. Council from enacting lenient sentencing reforms and ensure juvenile offenders are charged as adults for serious crimes. Juvenile crime in D.C. is more than double the national average, or it was until the president stepped in here. The second bill is the D.C. Policing Protection Act, which restores law enforcement's ability to pursue fleeing suspects. It seems common sense, but it's been prohibited in some of these municipalities. We've all seen the hordes of ATVs and dirt bikes barreling through residential streets, and that's going to stop now. The third bill is the D.C. Juvenile Sentencing Reform Act. Reduces the age for juveniles to be tried as adults from 16 down to 14. Some of these crimes are so heinous that's necessary. And this is for certain violent offenses like murder, first-degree sex abuse, first-degree burglary, and armed robbery. The fourth bill is the D.C. Judicial Nominations Reform Act, which returns judicial appointments in D.C. to the President and the Senate in line with the Constitution. Left-wing activist judges are part of the problem, and they're not going to be allowed to return violent criminals to the streets anymore under the guise of restorative justice. We are restoring safety and order to the nation's capital, and we hope that other cities around the country follow this successful model. Let me address the necessity of keeping the government open. In the House, we have returned to regular order. We've been pressing this as a theme and a goal, and we have achieved that. We have made substantial progress on government funding this year. The House Appropriations Committee has passed all 12 bills out of committee. We have 3 passed off the floor already. We voted last week to begin a bipartisan conference committee with the Senate on 3 bills. That's Milcon, Ag, and Ledge Branch. And appropriators are actively engaged in ongoing bipartisan conversations to fund the government for FY26. So we have to allow time to do that because we're getting close to the end of the fiscal year, September 30th, as you all know. We need responsible options here to keep the government open while all this work continues. And Republicans are committed to making that happen. So here's what we'll do. We're going to release text here shortly, I think around noon, for a short-term, clean, continuing resolution that will keep the government funded and operating at current levels while we continue all this work and doing our jobs and getting the remaining bills done. Predictably and unfortunately, there are some Democrats who are openly pining for a government shutdown. In spite of this obvious and necessary step, they're grasping for straws as a party, and so some of them apparently believe that shutting down the government will be some sort of life raft for them so they can regain the support of the American people. I just think that is a fool's gambit. It's anybody who's advocating for that, to make it a partisan exercise is making a big mistake. In exchange for their vote to fund the government, some Democrats said they wanted Republicans to repeal our very popular and very effective reforms to the Medicaid program, where we cut fraud, waste, and abuse, and we ensured that illegal aliens don't receive taxpayer benefits, and we put able-bodied men back to work. They want us to wind that back. Zero chance that we will do that, because it's the right thing to do. And they're also demanding that we include unrelated health insurance tax credit provisions. That is a December policy issue, not a September funding issue. So this will not be a partisan CR. It will be a clean, short-term, continuing resolution, end of story. And it's interesting to me that some of the same Democrats who decried government shutdowns under President Biden appear to have no heartache whatsoever at walking our nation off that cliff right now. I hope they don't. I hope that they'll work with us so we can all do our jobs here. We get a short-term CR done, complete the appropriations bill, and